everybody doing today? Everyone's interested in mindful eating, huh? Amen. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and this program. My name is Chef Alex Askew, and I'm a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, which is one of the world's premier culinary schools. And over the course of many years in the professional world as a chef, I've done everything from healthcare. I was actually the first African American regional chef in healthcare in the country in 2005. I've done hotels, country clubs. I've done small restaurants. Pretty much everything except for cruise ships, I've done it in my career. And I started when I was 14 as a private cook, not knowing how to be a chef at that time, many years before I even went to culinary school. And the thing about being a committed learner, which I feel I am, is that you ask a lot of questions and you really start doing a deeper dive of how things are connected. And only through a deeper dive, whether you're studying something, whether it's the Bible or whether you're studying food, you got to ask more and more questions, because that's really where the science lies, right? Everything is made up in this world, and under divine creation, you've got to ask some questions to figure out how it works. It's not just as simple as, oh, I have it all figured out, right? And in the course of me going to culinary school, I realized that people of color, specifically at that time, African Americans, really didn't have a seat at the table to, first of all, make the money that our counterpart white individuals were doing. We didn't have control of our careers. And quite frankly, it was like we were allowed to have a seat at the table, which was a little bit disturbing, for me, since I worked very hard to, parents didn't pay for college. I had to figure it out on my own, work 3 jobs. And, I wanted to start applying a social justice lens. And for that reason, we actually kind of encouraged, forced, however you want to put it, the school to have an alumni chapter formed and created for black graduates. And then later, that served as a prerequisite as the nonprofit that I'm still running today, BCA Global, which was founded as the Black Culinary Alliance. So in this journey, I'm a 3-time fellow. A fellow is someone that is recognized for a commitment to learning, and they encourage that. Some encourage it with monetary. Other organizations encourage it just by giving you free training and coming together in a fellowship designed to learn at a very high capacity or facilitative environment, they call that. And in my first fellowship, I was at Kellogg Foundation, Tony the Tiger, where they give money to this organization. That's actually a foundation, and that's how, it's a multi-million-dollar organization. And my fellowship was in racial equity and healing nationwide. So it was a 3.5-year fellowship, and we had a chance to tour 22 cities. And in the discovery of looking at the food system in all these different cities, from the north to the Midwest to the Southeast, I realized that our food system is almost rigged. This is way pre-COVID, but rigged in a very disadvantaged way for people of color. And from marketing, target marketing of our children, what they're putting in the ingredients, the fast food companies, they spend millions of dollars doing marketing studies to know exactly where that McDonald's should be, knows exactly where that KF should be, so that convenience is amplified in a way where our people are almost forced to do it. The way they design neighborhoods and transportation It's designed so that you're forced to, whether you're in a food swamp, which is swamped by this overly processed convenience food, or a food desert, and you don't have access to any healthy food. And a lot of these designs are intentional to, in a way, kind of victimize people of color. So part of me, light came on, part of me made me angry, right? And I started putting together this research that focused on how can we connect the mind, body, and spirituality in terms of food. Understanding that the food table was a place years ago when family got together and broke bread and talked and decompressed, and weren't on their phones all the time. And obviously we have to deal with mental health and trauma, and we kind of rebrand that as a mind and body empowerment situation. But and I wanted to have this racial harmony. So tapping into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s work 50 years ago was a no-brainer as a beloved community, because he really was a staunch advocate for health. I mean, known for civil rights, but it's also the Poor People's Campaign and health, because a vibrant community makes you more productive. You're going to be able to make more money. Sick people don't really make that much money as a healthy person, right? And we'll be able to uplift communities, right? Multi-generationally, from the children to the aging well and senior population that, quite frankly, hasn't gotten much respect of late. So that was my impetus. That was my catalyst to design something. And I went to my systems thinking. I'm a systems thinking design person. I went to my coach and I said, what do I do with this? And he said, well, design something. I hope you model it, right? And so what we came up with was first a book. We did it backwards, actually. We came up, instead of designing a program, we did a book of these narratives that took 2.5 years to put together. Mindful Eating for the Beloved Community. I have these narratives of what a BIPOC community looks like. A Black, Hispanic, Indigenous, they're all our brothers and sisters, but we get so mixed up in the survival mode, we don't understand that our brothers and sisters are a little bit larger and wider than what people try to get us to assume as an identity, right? And I had a lot of people, tell their narrative story, because it all starts out with conversation. I remember when, right? Or my father used to do this. Or I remember when my grandmother, I love those stories my late father used to tell me. And I got into this mindful eating craze, and come to find out that mindful eating was constructed by white people for white people. So I had made a problem with that, because I was the only one of color in the room. I said, this doesn't seem right. So part of it is an adaptation to the mindful eating space that wasn't developed with us people of color in mind. The other piece of it is even teaching children. I'm saddened when I meet a child and they think ketchup and tomatoes, or they're saying like that is tomatoes. They don't understand that tomatoes are grown. And so we have to get back to the roots of this learning, because at the end of the day, it's about our relationship with food. Food is a chemical. When we put it into our body, whether we realize it or not, there's a chemical reaction. If we have a diet-related or some type of health situation, like a hypertension or diabetes, or that chemical reaction becomes that much more important to know, especially if you're dealing with the sugars, salts, fats, and salts, right? And then lastly, especially now, where I bought these ingredients, yesterday, and I was a little bit shocked that it wasn't like 2 months ago. Food has went up, So now it's like you've got to have tips and tricks that how you can actually and feed a family because McDonald's isn't the answer when it comes to how much money you're going to spend there. So with all of that said, and in that context, we want to understand culturally where we are. You know what I mean? It took about 3 years to get my father, who came from the rural North Carolina, a Husky town, Bertie County, to move from a ham hock to a smoked turkey wing. To me, it was a big win. To him, it was like, oh well, it doesn't taste that bad, So I was just like, this is a big win, And so some of these things take time. Also understanding that foreign things, generationally, we weren't exposed to foreign things. So the way the brain works is that we have to try things 3 times before the brain even registers those flavors. And then we can say we don't like something. But we can't go into something and say, oh, you know what, I look at this, I don't think I like it. So we want to be open-minded. And then we want to try to just move a little bit beyond the familiar in what we can do, and that's the being creative stuff. And, we're right back where we started many years ago, where, a mother had $10 to spend, and it was her trying to figure out how she could break that up. Maybe now it's $20, but that doesn't, in the scheme of inflation, that's still, nothing. So we really trying to have fun, trying to do things you could do as a family, try to do things that you could do as a family meal, and have at the table, and do things keeping in mind that money is precious. We don't have a lot of it, but we have to eat. So if we're going to eat healthy, we got to eat smart in terms of what we could do, utilizing the freezer, cooking beans ahead of time, doing a little prep work, and like these quart containers. I have the large quart containers. They're perfect for the freezer. You write with a Sharpie on the top what they are, and you can take the stuff out the night before, and and I go weeks ahead, if I have big pot of beans and stuff like that, because people don't have time. So whenever you have time, these are all the tips and tricks. So I'm going to make a variety of different things, and the first thing I'm going to do is talk about couscous. And couscous, does everybody know what couscous is? It's a grain. A lot of African people eat couscous. It's also very healthy for you. It's also super easy to cook, and I'm going to show you how. And then you can just be so creative with what you can do with it, and it also freezes very well. So you can make it ahead of time, and you can make a variety of different kinds of couscous. Guaranteed that if you don't tell someone it's healthy and it tastes good, that's okay. You're not lying. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, how do we sneak health back into the community? And I have a 6-year-old son, and he challenges me. He's 4 months now a vegetarian. He proclaimed it one morning, and it is what it is. I support him, and now I'm making cauliflower balls and have plant-based. But I don't demonize meat as but I do think people should eat more fruits and vegetables. We know that, and if you eat meat, make sure you know where it comes from. It's good, and eat it as a side. And if you ever saw me eat some beef ribs or something, you'd think like, well, this boy must be starving or something. This is because I don't, when I get a hold of it, I'm like so excited. I'm like, and now grizzle doesn't bother me anymore. So let's make some couscous. So basically, you can buy them. They're relatively cheap. They're like $2 a box. They come in all different kinds of flavors, and you can be very, very creative with it. And I give everything like a name. And so I'm going to show you how to make a basic couscous, but I call it pizza couscous. Kids love it, right? They're sold on the pizza idea. So what you want to do is, when a lot of times when you make something healthy, you want to apply like a very tasty type of brand name. Like if I'm making barley, I make sweet and sour barley, like the Chinese restaurant, because it sells, barley, well, sweet and sour, I'll try it. And it has the same flavor, and that's really how you get people, in my experience, to buy in, right? So what do you think about flavor profiles of pizza? You've got some basil, oregano, tomatoes, right? And you know, I didn't bring any cheese because I didn't know about the lactose intolerance, but you can also do some, you know, grated cheese on top, right? And so so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take some sliced tomatoes, whatever's on sale, right? You can even use canned tomatoes too. That's cool too, right? And I'll just put like some equal parts of tomatoes, and then you can use again, basil. I used some dried oregano and I kind of boiled it with some garlic powder and some onion powder. I'm thinking pizza, right? And you know, these are pretty cheap at the 99-cent store, right? By the way, herbs and spices are the way to go to kind of cut back on sugar and stuff. And you make your own concoctions, you know what I mean? I had the other day curry. It was like a curry eggplant salad, and it was just like, you know, because you figure curry meat tastes great. What if I curried eggplant? You know, how would that be? And I roasted in the oven. It was awesome. So you want to think about not losing flavor, because at the end of the day, no matter how healthy it is, if it doesn't taste good, you know, I mean, in the hospital, if a patient doesn't eat, they can't turn the bed. That's why they started hiring chefs, right? So you got some onion powder, some garlic powder, some oregano. You could put some vegetable bouillon, or you could put some chicken bouillon or chicken stock. You can be very, very creative. You know, we have a little bit of basil here, so just take a little pinch of basil. There's some already in there. And yeah, that's it. And I have my stock. So what I'll do is I'll put my couscous in, just like that. And what you want to do, now here's the other cool thing about couscous. It doesn't really have, it doesn't, you know, all it needs is boiling water and you steam it. So it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of foolproof in a way, and you don't have to worry about something burning on the stove. It even happens to me as a chef, right? So, so I have my tomatoes. I'll just pour that in there, and then what I'll do is I have that stock that I told you about, and you could use a teapot, you know what I mean, like to make hot tea or whatever. And you could just throw your herbs in there, that works too. If you want to throw a little olive oil in there, you can. And the key about making this is you want to just get it a little bit above, and then you want to cover it with plastic wrap. And then it steams for about 5-10 minutes, and then I'll show you how to fluff it up. And while that steams, we're going to get to the other one. But that's it, really. And it's very, very, what they say in the food world, unforgiving. It's like very hard to you know, if you know, again, olive oil. What did I do the other day? I took some anchovy oil, for those that love anchovies. I'm a big anchovy person. And that's it. You leave it to the side and you can pretty much walk away, which is a beautiful thing. So I'll put that to the side. And then you can also garnish it, and I'll show you how to do that. So the next thing that I want to talk about with couscous is, again, versatility. And Laneisley, could we get the collard green one scooped up? Okay. So one of the things, and again, we're talking flavor profile, right? And you really want to try to. It takes some, you know, imagination of what could I do with this, right? So, and you got to play around with it, and, you know, experiment in the kitchen. That's kind of part of it. So, one of the things that I was experimenting with was just with collard greens and making it a pesto. My son really doesn't like collard greens the way my dad make them, so I got to be kind of creative. But collard greens actually make a great pesto, and you can, again, making the couscous the same way. The pesto, everyone know what pesto is? Mm-hmm. No, who doesn't know? Okay, so pesto is traditionally Italian. It's coined pesto, and they use basil, pine nuts, garlic, and olive oil. Okay, that's the Italian version. So I decided to make a black version, and so what I did was I replaced basil with collard greens, and took some garlic, a little bit of onion, and some olive oil, and then what I did was I made that my pesto. I didn't add nuts because, because nuts should be kept on the side, because you don't know exactly if someone does have a nut allergy, most of the time it's not mild, right? So I always, have it on the side, because once you put it in, you can't take it out. And so we have some samples that we can pass around now to each of you, so that, I can walk you through how I made this. So I use a blender, and basically just chop my collard greens, cleaned, of course, washed, collard greens, garlic, a little bit of onion, some whatever seasoning, salt and pepper, and olive oil. And you kind of, once you get it going, you kind of add the olive oil until it makes like a puree. That stuff freezes pretty much forever. So you can make a big batch of it, one of these large Chinese containers, and you can have it you take out a little bit at a time. You could spread on some toast instead of butter. You can mix with pasta to make a pasta salad. And people will be like, this tastes really good. What you got in there? And if they don't like collard greens, don't say it. Just say some greens, right? I imagine you can do that with a turnip green, a beet green. I mean, if they say eat your greens, and your kids have a problem with greens or somebody, this is a great way to sneak that health into your family, into your community. So we're gonna pass around, and it has a little bit of kick at the end, because I use one of those official jerk seasonings, and the good ones. The good ones have that fire to them, right? Because they've got that hot pepper, and everyone should have a fork and spoon in front of them. And so I added a little bit of jerk to the pesto to give it a little bit of more, spiciness to it. So it's actually a jerk, collard green, and I put a small piece of ginger. Do you have a spoon? Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, you don't like it? Oh, okay. And you had that look like, huh?
Have a curry one like that too, right?
A curry jerk?
No, they have a curry one.
Oh no, I didn't try that. That sounds like a good one. So you'll get a lot of these flavors. And here's the deal. I'm not trying to make anybody vegetarian here. All I'm saying is you could throw a piece of baked chicken or some baked fish or whatever meat, a roasted pork chop on top of it, and you're good to go. I'm saying that they don't even want to hear the couscous story. That's not important to them. And you've got them eating a healthy grain that tastes good on every level. And if you let it roll around your mouth, you'll get a whole bunch of different flavors in there, because jerk itself, it's got it's got the allspice in it. It's got, there's also a good one called Walker's Wood too. That's really good, but I'm sure in most markets you can find a good jerk seasoning. Powdered ones, they're not that good. You want to get the wet jerk. And then what I call speed scratch. Speed scratch is taking something and adding a couple ingredients to it and making it yours on the quick. So for example, people say, what's the quickest bean salad I can make? I say, well, go to the 99-cent store, buy a can of chickpeas, get some 99-cent ranch dressing, throw some parsley in there, a little bit of hot sauce, you know what I mean, and you know, and some red onion, and boom, you've got something you could throw a piece of grilled, and they're like, wow, you know, that costs like $2. They go, exactly. But you know, here again, being able to supplement something with a health component is our first step to health in the community. I'm not here to try to get you to change everything because I just think that's culturally insensitive. I'm sorry? That's worth the change? Well, it has it, I mean, we're just swapping out the meat, right? You know, because I'm, you know, I mean, I love some jerk anything. You know what I mean? So, but what you'll also notice is that if I eat a plate of jerk chicken, you know, I'm tired. You know, I might need to take a nap. The itis might set in, you know? And, but when you eat lighter foods with that same flavor profile, to your point, you've got the energy, you're able to roll. This is like something that you can do as a snack, and you can keep it moving, you know what I mean? And one of the things about our diet, and the way that fat is digested, you know, our metabolism slow down to such a pace that we almost have to restart them. We have to restart them so that, you know, at mid-afternoon after, you know, a heavy lunch, we really can't be back quick on, you know, or, you know, with my son and I tell young people, it's all about sports, right? Most sports athletes will hire a personal nutritionist and a chef because you can't be a LeBron James and be at KFC, you know what I mean? And it's all about performance and productivity. The other piece of it, there is that mind connection because the body and the mind are really one. It's the same bucket, you know what I mean? It's, if someone's not doing well mentally, you know, it does make them suffer physically and vice versa. So we have to kind of understand how food, and be aware when we're eating something, how's this making me feel? No judging. We don't want to guilt trip. We've been judged for hundreds of years. We don't need any more of that, right? But, you know, how do I feel after eating this? What foods make me feel good? A lot of people find out about their allergies by taking this type of awareness and saying, you know, I ate that and it doesn't make me feel that great. Well, you might be allergic, but, you know, I mean, other than expensive testing, you know, that's a really good way of having body awareness. Or if you like something, but you know your body's not going to like it later, you might want to have a conversation with yourself on how best to negotiate that. You know what I mean? Because having swollen feet the next day after a meal might not be a good idea. You know, if you have something to do where you don't need swollen feet to do it. And that's the mindful part. Everyone really needs to have this self-care element because, you know, as people of color, we've been beat up and traumatized and brutalized and so many things taken away from us. We don't need to do, you know, we don't need to do it to ourselves. All right, so the next one is more geared for, yeah, I could say children, because it has a little bit of a sweet profile. Lenny, so you can get that next one going? Thanks. So I try to think of, again, being creative. What can we do? What are some of the flavors that, well, I use my 6-year-old. If he likes it, I figure I'm good, you know? But he's brutally honest. He'll be like, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right. It won't work. He was like, try something else. So I looked at the profiles of apple, carrots, coconuts, and raisins, and applying that into a couscous. And so what I did was, I did exactly that. I took some apples, carrots, and coconut and raisins, and I kind of just, you know, the carrots I just didn't even really blanch them at all. I just cut them very, very thin. You know, everyone's had like carrot slaw, right? And coleslaw, yeah. So it's the same type of thing. And we'll get these passed out so you can see exactly what this is about. But once you get the mix going, And again, this is shredded coconut. Oh, by the way, there are different flavor profiles too. You can make a taco couscous. You know what I mean? My son's got me thinking like everything meatless now. So I'm like, you know, how do we kick it up? And yeah, so you know, just raisins, the carrots together, the coconut together, and you know, you can use a little allspice. I use like a little Oriental 5 spice. Again, explore your spices. You know, God's created spices on this planet for our enjoyment, and there's hundreds of thousands of spices. We need to use them. And yeah, it's something that could be served towards the end of the meal. It's a fun salad. It again, you know, when you're out to the park, is it too sweet? What is? Huh?
It's not sweet.
It's not sweet at all.
It has a kick of a little hint of sweet to it, but it's not sweet. I was getting ready to actually maybe add pineapples or.
Exactly. Yeah. You can add. Yeah, you can absolutely add pineapple, and those are some of the things that you can add like on top. You know what I mean? Like we do have some diced pineapple we can pass around too. Laneisley, can we pass around the diced pineapple so people can try with pineapple? Funny you should mention that. So yeah, so eat with the pineapple. Again, one of the things we need to do is just, you know, I'm not going to tell people don't eat with sugar, but I will tell you that one of the things we can do is just try to eat some more things without a lot of sugar. And I'm saying when you want that sugary treat, okay, but I'm saying not eating a lot of sugar all the time. That's a good start. See, great idea. Like I read your mind, right? Right. Huh? I can't hear you.
You can taste the sweetness in it.
Without the pineapple?
Without the pineapple.
Okay. Well, each person is different. So it's raisins, it's coconut, and shredded carrots. And then I use a little allspice and I use a little 5 spice. But you can put, I'm sorry? And it's couscous.
The one with the raisins? No.
Yeah, the one with the raisins. This is all couscous. See, when you sneak in nutrition, a lot of people like, they don't even, you know.
You added allspice, but can you use a pumpkin spice as well?
Yeah, pumpkin spice, allspice. I mean, you know, cinnamon, nutmeg, you got to be a little careful of. But you can, there's no end to what you can do in terms of, you know, the creativeness. I just did this. You know, my son doesn't like very sweet things. He's big into like, I don't want to be a child diabetic. You know, so he knows about it. I mean, we were in the store a couple of months ago and I was 2 aisles over and I heard him screaming, "Dad, there's 35 grams of sugar in this. They're trying to kill me." And I was surrounded by these adults saying, "How does your son know that?" I'm like, "Well, he can read, you know," and I had to teach him, like, you know, the implications of what should. But I understand the FDA is going to come up with color coding because if it's more than 1 day of sugar, they want people to see a red, like, just know it, you know, this, yeah. Yes?
I like the serving size. This is foreign to me. This is no.
Well, couscous is actually, you know, and all the grains, and I tell people really, try to explore beans and grains. They're affordable. There's thousands of them, right? It never stops. You know, I took black beans and I made a hummus out of it. You know, chickpeas is usually made out of hummus. But you can make these really flavorful purees and serve them as dips, you know? And now what you serve them with you is your business, but you've got a healthy dip. I mean, that's a far way off from the queso dip and things with all of those stabilizers and additives and chemicals. Anybody else? So let's get back to this. So here's our couscous that we made a little bit a while ago, a pizza couscous. And this is very important that you need to take a fork and you need to just fluff it up. And that just gets the air around the grains and it keeps it from clumping up. But again, this is, out of the both that you just had, this would probably taste the most plain because it doesn't have cheese on it. You can, on pizza, you have that side station where you got the garlic powder and stuff like that. You could theoretically, can someone bring this back to Laneisley, please? So everyone can taste it. You can theoretically have this set up as a pizza station. So you can have that, and then you can have all your different topping ingredients, and then you can go crazy. You want a little crispy turkey bacon, and have like a topping station around this couscous. People would not care that they're eating healthy. So we're gonna pass around this, and again, think of this couscous, again, and setting up a pizza station, like they'd have at the pizza place, where you have your cheese and your hot pepper and your oregano, and then do some other kind of toppings that might be cool too. I like, turkey bacon, you know what I mean? And, that kind of can go on top of it, Again, this is not a meat-free campaign. Want to really make that clear. Is turkey bacon better than regular bacon? Yeah, it is, So if you're gonna eat bacon, try to substitute some turkey bacon, And the flavors, it's smoked meat is pretty much a standard, right? What you really want to be careful of are those saturated fats. Those saturated fats, I've just recently learned are like the the heavy evil of a lot of diseases. From heart disease to diabetes. I really didn't even know that. I thought it was sugar, and people said, no, it's actually it's the saturated fat that plays the bad guy in all of that. And so if you realize how sugar, fat, and salts work, and understand that even the salt that I did use was Himalayan salt. It's 10 times more flavorful than regular salt. And I got like a big 5-pounder for like $4 at the dollar store or the odd lot. You know what I mean? What does that mean? That means you use 10 times less salt by using a good salt, That white iodine salt is probably the worst salt that you could use. And there are hundreds of different kinds of salts. And there's lava salt, there's all kinds of stuff that you could, in the culinary space, we finish certain things with certain salts. And they have a mineral content, and because they're more flavorful, and there's also this iodine situation as well. So I don't, that's a science that I can't really explain, but I know enough that when I look at something, I always ask, can I swap this out for something else? And not the whole thing, sometimes it's a few ingredients. What we need to realize as a community is, and they do this in the Army, it's called harm reduction. It's called harm reduction. When they're trying to get an individual off of heroin, and I didn't understand it, I didn't agree with it, but their philosophy is if they use 50% less, and the chances of them quitting are 100% no, then the 50% is where we need to go, because that is progress. And in our community, what are the ways that we can reduce our food harms by 50%? This is not I want you to change your ways entirely, but what kind of things can we swap out? How can we be creative about swapping that out? How can we use different salts? How can we use herbs and spices? And different peppers. Different peppers pack different heats. There's some that you could throw with some mayo and some garlic, it's great. There's others that, you might burn your mouth up doing, it's not recommended, but, just exploring, because they all have different flavors, and I think that is a major part of it, and that's what this is. I have some scallions and corn, that could also, scallions and corn can be on the pizza station, you could have roasted vegetables, there's this big push now. They have a cauliflower buffalo cauliflower now that's kind of like dipped and baked, which is a meat supplement. So there are the things that, again, cabbage, that's always cheap in the supermarket. These heads are huge. They can be sliced, and that could be thrown into couscous. Again, I went to carrots. Ginger is a staple, and you can make everything from teas. Everybody should have ginger in there. It's great for the lungs. Everybody knows about that, right? Sipping on some ginger tea. you know, when you find nuts on sale and if there's no nut allergies at your house, you know, grab some nuts. These are some crushed almonds that can go good with couscous and too. Also, good protein alternative, and that's really what this is about. And I just really try to encourage everyone to just kind of explore those conversations of what's possible. And could you imagine having that station around with all those different ingredients, and then people can just have fun with it? Anybody else? I think couscous is. I think it'd be good with anything. You know, if you could even probably make a patty out of it if you add like an egg, half an egg. You know what I mean, and fry it up in a pan. You know, I like cakes. You know, I like bean cakes and mushroom barley cake. You know, I just like something crispy on the outside, right? So anybody else? Yes. It is. White rice is not that very good for you. If you do the rice route, you should do brown rice. I mean, rice is good if you have some stomach issues and stuff like that. You need a lot of water absorbed and liquid absorbed in yourself. But in terms of grains, they're not very high on the list unless you're doing brown rice. There's also a purple rice that's really good with antioxidants. That's pretty good. I have a lot of New Orleans Creole background, and I imagine that this would make probably a good jambalaya. Because, yeah, probably, right? Yeah, that might be something I try tomorrow for Mother's Day. Yes?
Can you substitute the couscous with polenta?
I don't know if it's going to act the same. Cornmeal needs to be cooked. We just steamed this. You know what I mean? Cornmeal is something that's a little fussier.
That's what I was thinking about when I did the porridge.
Yeah, this is kind of, a very less fussy, unforgiving. You hit the tea kettle, you throw some spices in there. You saw what I did, right? You throw the hot water on it and you wrap it up and you walk away, and that's. It's like a minute rice, but it's not processed. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. We got one more demo here, so.
About the you have to identify all the flavors and ingredients. You can pinpoint the ingredients and the flavors.
You can identify the separate ingredients. That's so helpful. Sometimes when you go out and get processed foods, I mean, honestly, you taste salt and something else. You know what I mean? When you're able to actually taste the ingredients and you can taste the herbs, like I call that herbaceous. I don't even know if that's a word. You can taste the different vegetable or the ginger. That's very, or the citrus. I didn't even do a citrus one. You can imagine what, if I did this with some steamed orange juice that was flavored. You know what I mean? With a little bit of lemon juice. Now you've got something that'd be crazy for rice. For fish rather. So we're gonna move into, yes?
If you're not able to bring fresh calories or calories are not moving up to par, would you substitute it with a frozen bean?
Yeah, absolutely. You just wanna make sure that, you got a good blender. They don't cost a lot of money. I really, really believe everybody should have at least a blender about $12. Because not only can you make these really cool mixers and stuff, but in the morning, and I don't want to go down this path because it's not part of this demo, but taking a banana and some low-fat milk or some almond milk and powering up in the day doesn't have to. It could be 5 minutes, but it's really important that you get that brain nutrition in the beginning. So I did a whole segment, and I can send it to you, Bishop, on power shakes. You know what I mean? That you can, and simple recipes that you can use. So that you can power. Now, the beauty about this also is everybody's on the run. So if you're a family of 5, you got, 6 cups laid out, 5 cups laid out, and hey, before you go, and it could be the quickest breakfast you ever had in your life. But the fact of the matter, and it's also very fast absorbing. So by the time you're walking out the door, you're getting that nutrition. But skipping breakfast shouldn't be an option. But I think everyone should have a blender. Invest in one. $20 I think is a max. I've seen them at all kinds of stores what do they have, Ulster and all kinds of ones. But get a blender. That's definitely where you want to do it, because when I was in healthcare, as soon as you came out of the operating room, they fed you a broth or a puree. And that was for a reason, because they wanted to get as much fast nutritional absorption as possible. We should think about that when we're getting sick. You know what I mean? I did that over the whole winter. I got into bone broths. And I said, you know, I wanted to boost my immune system because this COVID thing was real, you know? And I realized bone broths were heavy surgery, bone broths was the first thing they gave you to boost your immune system. You know, and I mean, for that $7 a bone, it's probably, you go to any butcher store, they probably give you bones. You know what I mean? But I had, you know, I did beef bones, and I cheated a little bit. I did cow's feet because I wanted some gelatin. But man, was that good! I think I'll do that tomorrow too. So, yes.
So the breakfast is better than eating a cereal with a bowl?
Better. I mean, time-wise, yes. Absorption, yes. Cereals are good. Cereals are good, you know, if you look at, I don't want to get into like glycemic levels and stuff, but if you're looking at energy over a long duration, then, you know, an oatmeal, you know, something that has a low, what's the best way of explaining low glycemic in layman's terms?
No sugar.
No, that doesn't mean no sugar.
So with the low glycemic index is like something like you brought is a grain, right? So then that will spike your blood sugar as quickly as you eat something with just pure sugar. So if you ate a frosted flakes, which is not 90% sugar, your blood sugar is going to spike really quickly. With that, with the grain, it's a slow process, so you don't get that spike and they drop.
Right.
Feel like energy and then feel tired.
Right. Diabetics know this well because they, you know, they have to test their sugar. Yes.
I love cane sugar.
Cane sugar is sugar cane sugar. I mean, you want to call it a different name, you can. You know, when Laneisley, I'm going to introduce Laneisley because she's going to do another demo and she could speak to that. There's monk fruit. There are some sugar substitutes that are relatively good. White sugar is bad. It's evil, all right? White sugar is bad. What, you don't think so? What?
I want to know what about the sugars that they get for people who have diabetes and stevia comes in the packages.
So there are some that are relative not bad. Not bad does not mean good. That just means they're not bad. I want to just let you know what the scale looks like. Right. White sugar, very bad. You know, that's over here. If you have like a stevia and stuff, I would say much better. You know what I mean? But not necessarily really good.
Brown sugar?
Brown sugar is better than white sugar because it has the molasses, but it's not as bad, but it's still in the bad category.
So honey is the best substitute for sugar?
Honey typically is good. If you have an unprocessed honey, agave are better. They're better. If you're making tea and your choice is sugar or honey, please use honey. You know, understanding, and you know, I don't have to have the high fructose corn syrup conversation in this room, right? Okay, you know that's very, very, very bad. You know, okay.
I just wanted to ask you about the kosher salt, because you were speaking about the salt.
Kosher salt's not that. I mean, it's kosher. It has a. Well, we use it in the food industry because when we grab salt, our fingers know how much it is with kosher salt. With fine grained salt, we don't. So we have a tendency to use less. Kosher salt also has lower, if not a minimum amount of iodine as well. So if you're talking iodine, kosher better. You know? Yes?
Sea salts.
Sea salt's very, very good. Sea salt's a lot of flavor, mineral content. Sea salts is definitely, if you guys can just replace your regular salt with sea salt, that's a harm reduction big move.
I like what you said about harm reduction because you talked about those fats
Almond milk does have some fat. What?
Some of those fats are not good for you.
Oh, saturated fats? Yeah, almonds have good fats. So understanding that there's good fats and bad fats, right?
What I want to say, I really like what you said about harm reduction, because I was just saying to a friend here that those fats that are not good for you, they taste so good.
Anything.
They taste so good, and so, I'm struggling. My household, my wife doesn't eat pork, I do. But I do eat turkey bacon. I do eat pork bacon. So when you talk about harm reduction, I think I'm on the right track, because I don't eat as much of it as I used to do.
Exactly.
And so, I did change my salt, so I don't use iodine salt anymore.
Great.
I do use sea salt.
Excellent.
And so, whereas my wife, if she had her way, I'd be potato flip 100%. And we got to get this thing there, so I need to go home and educate her on harm reduction.
Well, I got into it with a heart surgeon about using salt, period. And I believe that there's such thing as quality of life. You know what I mean? If you're miserable and everything around you is miserable, and then what you're eating is miserable, you're gonna be really miserable. So now you gotta deal with some, thoughts of harm, maybe, or just not wanting to be here anymore. I mean, I think it's quite worse. If you really don't have a enthusiasm for living anymore, I think that's, I think that's on the top of the list, right? Yeah, but harm reduction is very rational. It's just like, how do we just scale this back? It's more mindful, understanding that, back in the day, I used to love some pig's feet. I mean, woo, Lord, I'm just thinking about it now. It's just, and I used to barbecue, I'm a chef, so I used to have some barbecued, really, I should stop talking about it, right? But, also understanding that I'm going to eat that once or twice a year. You know what I mean? But that's way better than once a month. You know what I mean? I'm going to allow myself. When I tell people that, if I'm in the gym regularly and I know that I'm on top of my stuff and I'm really watching what I'm doing, it's okay to have a treat. You'll see me fly into McDonald's, order a fillet of fish and throw out half the bun because it's garbage. And I'll get some extra pickles and I'll have a fillet of fish, and you know what? I deserve it. I need a treat. That's it. But understanding where treats are and understanding where your life productivity is, making those changes, and also understanding, well, do I deserve this treat? If you're eating a bowl of ice cream and you haven't worked out and you haven't even walked to the mailbox, and so you're living a very stationary life. Maybe ice cream is not the best thing you should be eating. And do I deserve it? And so I always ask people to ask themselves this question, and it's based on scripture, but what I'm putting in my body, how is it serving me? Now, clearly, sometimes that answer will be not well. But then you can say, well, this is a treat. But if you say not well, and it's not a treat, those inner conversations are between, you, yourself, and the Lord, But if it is most of the time that you say, this is serving me well, that I'm putting into my body, then you have it, And then you could get a calendar and circle the date when you're going to have a treat, and you can go all out. But it's about balance. It's about balance. And it's not about a either or, it's a both and. And so and this harm reduction, I didn't get it in the beginning because I'm like, heroin, I mean, how could you? And they were like, you got to understand the bigger picture here. If someone doesn't reduce the amount of heroin, they will die. So you don't have any kind of plan, because if they're not going to go off of it and they're going to die, what is your strategy? we came up with a strategy that is effective, and it's called harm reduction.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what if you just don't use sugar or salt at all? Period.
Well,
And you just.
I mean, if you could bear it, I mean, there's certain, I say that you should be open to not doing sugar or not doing salt periodically just to see how you feel, and it also readjusts your tongue palate. You know, in different parts of the tongue, there's different areas, so you can kind of reset your salt by just like taking a month and not, or a couple of weeks not eating salt, and then that same bite of whatever you took will seem really, really salty, and you know that you reset your palate. You can do that. Can I live without sweets and sugar? No. I mean, I'll do the harm reduction, I'll do this and that, and, I'll try to get my sugar from fruit. You know what I mean? What I do at home is, I cut up a lot of fruit and put it in the freezer. And that's my son's treat. He thinks it's better than frozen Pops. Some frozen grapes sliced. He's just like, yeah, just the frozen fruit. That is, that's a win around. You know what I mean? Well, if I told him no more sugar, he'll probably look for a foster home. He'll be like, I'm out. I know they got sugar at the foster home. Yeah, all right, one last question because we got to keep this moving. Yes?
Dealing with meat, the tendon what's the best meat pertaining to this in the body?
The best meat to eat? I mean, I would say I would start at fish, right? Non-shellfish, right? I would start fish that have your fatty oils, salmon, all right? So I start with the fatty fish, but everything in the fish category is cool. Understanding that you take that health away if you throw it in some deep fried oil, right? So you might want to bake it or roast it, And then you have your chicken, you have your poultry section. You do have areas like goat and lamb that are very easily digestible, that are also lean. And then you get into, your beef area where, depending on who's raising it, it could be very bad for you. That's why McDonald's meat is really poison, because they put all these cows they put 1,000 cows in a room like this, and then they feed them antibiotics so they don't break out in sores, and then they're mostly dying by the time they get grounded up to make the hamburgers, and then they put all the this other stuff to make them taste good. No, I'm just saying, I can't eat a McDonald's burger because I know the history of it. Know the history of where your food comes from, and that'll be how you make your food choices. Yes?
Even like Wendy's, their fish and McDonald's fish, their fish, Wendy's fish is more healthier and it's more fish than McDonald's. McDonald's is that they freeze it so much. But when you go to Wendy's to eat their fish, is that they cook it right there. It's like
Right.
there. It's not that they take it out something and put it in.
I mean, there's not much of a spectrum when you start talking about fried foods. It's, that's a whole different category. But, I would say that would be it. And then, our friends,
The fish, the fish part, that's it.
right. I would say the pork, because in this country we don't raise lean pork. I would say that's where you got to be real careful. You know what I mean? But I'll do some ribs once in a while. Yes. All right. Last question, then we're gonna move on.
I work with kids. I work with children, not children, but teens, and the youth center, the programs, and I have this personal kind of feeling.
Okay.
I believe that our kids eat so much fast foods, McDonald's, and you mentioned how those meats are grown and given steroids, growth hormone. And I look and I see kids that are so young with such large feet. I have a personal theory. I believe it comes from eating the food from those fast food restaurants. You see young girls, 9 and 10 years old, coming into menstruation. And I believe, again, it's because of the consumption of the growth hormones. Hasn't been proven yet.
It has, actually, to a lot of extent. We don't read the same scientific journals, And I think they're paid not to publish some of this, in my theory, is they're paid not to publish some of this stuff. But hormones is a real straight evil towards the black and brown community. You know? And you see in marketing, because unfortunately, our white community is given more privilege than the black and brown community. You know, Purdue will recognize that and start producing anti-hormone this, anti-hormone that. That ain't because they care that much about black and brown people, in my opinion. It's because they know their customers that are educated, and the white ones are not going to buy their product unless they know that it's because they don't want that happening to their kids. So at the end of the day, a lot of this is about social justice, but in the framework of food literacy. You know, reading about what they're doing. And it's never too early to start or too late to start. I've started, you know, understanding that these companies, some of them are rooted in such an evil fashion that you would question why they're able to be in business right now. But then you could also argue a lot of it's because of systemic racism, and that's how it's been in this country. So we are at the the bunt of every bat in commercialized capitalism and the like. And the food system is the largest food system because you have everywhere where food is processed, prepared, grown, served. You know, colleges, universities, healthcare. And there's 3 companies that control 60% of it. And so once you start understanding how systems are built, they're always monopolized. And they're always monopolized with the disadvantage being towards our brothers and sisters.
What's the 3 companies?
I don't want to say right now. No, you could just go online and look at the big 3 companies that do that. I don't want to, I'm already a notorious suspect on your list. All right, so now we want to move into one last demo piece, and then we can get into the book. You guys okay with that? Yeah. We can close the chapter in Couscous. It was a long chapter, wasn't it? Took you on a journey, huh? Amen. All right, so let me introduce Laneisley Streeter. She is a pastry chef. She is a BCA board of directors. She's also my sounding board where, you know, people that do the work that I do are always getting kind of, you know, knocked in the head a little bit because, you know, we're not friendly to racists or anything like that. It's hard work doing community work, right? So, you know, sometimes I'll just be like going nuts and she'll bring me back with, well, let me reel you back in. You know, it's the Lord's work and you got, you know, this is part of your purpose. And she's gonna go over something really simple the family can all do. We've been doing these demos for a while, and we also have a video that I can share with you. I'll send it to you because she has this on video. One quick thing, you know, these are all quick tools you should have in your house, 99-cent store, right? Grater. You can get these baby scissors for $1, right? These are good for cutting scallions and stuff like that, right? Or you can have your kids cut lettuce with them, and I have some shears, and that's my equipment demonstration. So Laneisley, take it away, and we'll just adjust this so we'll be on this corner over here, and I'll get out your way.
No problem. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, I have short hair because Alex has kind of made me pull it all out.
Oh my goodness.
I just want y'all to know why. But I am Laneisley Streeter. I am a pastry chef. I'm a graduate of the Institute of Culinary Education. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to wearing it now. I'm so sorry. So I'm a graduate of the Institute of Culinary Education in pastry arts. I also cook, but pastry has been my thing since I was 6 years old when my parents bought me an Easy Bake Oven. And my dad was my biggest fan, God bless him. No matter what I made, he ate, good or bad. He always said, baby, you can do it, just keep doing it. My professional trade, my other trade, this is my second career. My first career was a director in the shelter system. So I have worked with the homeless population for many years. And I have decided to stop doing that because I have a niece that I have to take care of. And so in between doing my the work at the homeless shelter, I also took classes at culinary school on the weekends. So now I'm here, I love what I do. I've had many sleepless nights doing this, but it's what I enjoy, what I love to do. I'm gonna show you guys a simple recipe that you can do at home if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you're just by yourself. It's called a no-bake energy bar or energy ball. You can make them in a bar, you can cut them, or you can just roll them up. And I've done, if you will, Alex, can you bring me a pair of gloves, please? Thank you. What I like to do sometimes, because in my community, I live in Co-op City, so I'm not that far from you guys. There's a lot of pantries in Co-op City, so they give a lot of things out. So, you know, sometimes the neighbors say, well, can you use this, can you use that? And I'm like, yeah, I can use it and I can show you how to use it. So this peanut butter actually, this nice big jar of peanut butter came from the pantry. And so I don't like peanut butter, just, you know, self-disclose it. I don't like peanut butter, but my clients like it. And you know, my family likes it, so I make things with it. You can also get, I use flax seeds. Now you have two kinds. This is by Bob Mill. They're both organic. This bag, $7, $8, 89 cents. You tell me which one you would go with. Especially if you don't use it, but it's very good for you. We have a nutritionist, I think, in the house, or a dietitian. They can tell you the benefit of the flaxseed oil. It helps a lot of stuff move real good. So I'm gonna just explain this really quick. I'm gonna demo it, and then you guys can taste it. You can tell me if you like it. I'm gonna tell you there's variations you can put in it, so you don't have to do it the way that I did it, but you can do so many things with it. So I kind of prepped everything out. This is a ½ cup of peanut butter. So I'm gonna dump that in my bowl. Now the other thing this does for you is it works out your arm muscles. Because you know peanut butter is not that smooth. So it works out those arm muscles. So if somebody tell you, did you exercise today? You can tell them, yes I did. 1/3 cup of honey. This is organic honey. Actually it's raw honey. I use raw honey, which I think is the best honey that you can use. So you don't have to put any sugar in it because your honey is your sweetener. And then I take it, then I start my daily exercise. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you can see the honey and the peanut butter incorporating. So once you get that fully incorporated, as best as you could, sometimes you can use a whisk, but I think using a spatula or a big spoon is much better because you can kind of scoop it in there and get it all good. With that, I take my flaxseed. This is a ½ cup of flaxseed oil. Flaxseed. I take flaxseed oil, so put that in my shake. So now you can see it's getting a little bit stiffer, but you want to still incorporate it all as best as you can. Then you take a cup of oatmeal. Now you can do instant, you can do the 1 minute, or you could do the old-fashioned. This is the old-fashioned. And if this is too big for you, and as Alex was telling you to take your blender, you can just pulse it a little bit and it can make finer. So that's up to you. In the samples you have, I did one with the 1 minute and one with the whole. So you may be able to taste the difference. I don't think you will, but you may. So again, I'm using these mussels because you gotta get it in there. And what you want is a good vanilla. Please do not use imitation vanilla. That is garbage. I know it's affordable, but it's garbage. And if we're talking about healthy eating. We want to put good things in our body. Our body is our temple. We only got one chance to get it right. So we want to make sure we put good stuff in it. Now, I'm not going to tell anybody to buy the one that I use, which is Nielsen Massey, because this little bottle here is almost $60. So y'all must know I love y'all. You're using my good stuff here today. I'm just saying. But if you can see, I'm not stingy with it because I want y'all to taste the good vanilla. But trust me, when my mom was alive and I used to go there, and that was years ago, the big bottle was like $90.
That bottle lasts you for a while, right?
That bottle will last for a while. It's a good investment. But my mom used to say to me, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, "No, because if I'm feeding people, I'm going to feed them the way I feed you. And if I feed you good, I got to feed them good. And especially if somebody's paying for something. But even if they're not, I give a lot of things away because I make people my taste testers. When I was working in the shelter, I used to tell my staff, don't buy lunch today, or don't buy no dessert today. And they would be my guinea pigs. They would be like, you always making something. And then when I decided to really take the baking up another level, they used to say, you know what? If you sneeze, Miss Streeter, make us a cake and throw us a party. So the last thing we're gonna use, this is a half a cup of good chocolate chips. Now, if dark chocolate is better, I'm gonna be honest, this is semi-sweet, but it's a good semi-sweet. But if you use, you can use any type of chocolate that you want, and it's a half a cup. I got good hearing. But you can chop up, you can get a chocolate, bar, chop it up if you want. If you don't like chocolate, you can put some raisins in here. You can put some craisins in here. You can just do about anything that you want in here. And another thing that you can do with this, if you flatten this out and cut it, like you put it in the fridge, and when you cut it, it's like a granola bar. So if you go to the gym or if you're on the run, throw some of them in a baggie, take them with you in the car or the sub. I don't know if y'all eat on the subway or not, but wherever you go, if you're a little hungry, this gives you energy. Now, once we did all of that, I take the small ice cream scoop. You can get them at the Alex keeps saying the 99-cent store, but my dollar store is $1.25 now. So y'all get them at the $1.25 store. And what I usually do, I just take a scoop, put it in my hand, because you see how thick it is? And I just roll it. And once I roll it, I put it on the plate. Once I fill up the whole plate, I put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes just to let it solidify so it doesn't be so soggy. But these have been sitting out for a while, so you'll still get the bite and the flavor of them. But if you like them cold, you could make them the night before, an hour before, half an hour before. Just put them in the refrigerator, and they're good to go. That's my quick demo. I'm gonna have our ladies that were passing out, they're already set up. If you guys would go and do that, I can keep plating these. And any questions for me? It sounds good, okay.
Yeah, how much do it cost in the store?
Well, I don't know because I don't work in the store. I work for myself. So I have my own business. So I don't sell these to the stores. So I won't know what they would charge. And I would tell you that if you guys are buying energy bars from the store, please read your packaging. Because they have a lot of sugar in them. So even though they say they're nutritious and they're good for you, thank you. They have a lot of sugar in them. So the thing that you have to worry about is sugar. And even though I'm a pastry chef, sugar makes you tired if you eat too much of it. It tastes good, but then you be like, why am I so tired? It's the sugar. Brown sugar it's a better sugar, but it's not the best sugar. If you use monk sugar, that's from a fruit. That's better for you. I'm sorry, yes. If you don't, If you don't eat peanuts, you can use a different type of nut butter. Do you eat nuts at all? So we're gonna find a different dessert for you, because this one is made basically for a nut base.
Can't you do a almond butter?
She doesn't eat any kind of nuts. She doesn't eat any kind of nuts at all. If I can get it to you, yeah, we can send it to you. Yeah, we'll send the video and we'll send the recipe along with it. Yes. Alex. I have questions. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Yes. It would be excellent with cranberries. It would be excellent with cranberries.
It's good, but I would put less chocolate chips, because I'm not, that's a little sweet for me.
Okay. But you remember, you tweak your recipes the way you like them. See, if I make a recipe for you and you tell me, Lenice, I need you to do less chocolate chips, you're gonna get less chocolate chips. But if you make this recipe, it's so easy to make. If you make this recipe, you guys can play with it. Like you said, cranberries can go in here, raisins can go in here, anything you want can go in here. Different types of, nuts can go in there.
And I was surprised the oatmeal just disappeared.
Yeah, really.
Do you have any recipes for diabetics?
You can actually make, I do have recipes for diabetics, and what I can do is I can pull a few together and I can send them when Alex sends the things over. Yeah. And in the book, actually, if there is a sweet potato bread that's really good for diabetics because it's very, very low in sugar.